favorite, sticky toffee pudding, or sticky date pudding as it's referred to here in Australia, is, in my opinion, one of the world's best desserts. This warm, spiced sponge cake is slathered in a sticky toffee sauce and then ideally topped with vanilla ice cream. The recipe usually calls for making it with dates, but it's totally possible to do it without. And if you're new here, I'm Maggie. This is No Frills Kitchen, where I teach you how to cook with confidence with nothing fancy required.
You first need to prep your ramekins, which is super easy. Simply brush the entire surface with butter and then coat it with demerara sugar. This will ensure that they are easy to unmold when the time comes, but also give you a nice crunch on the exterior of your pudding. Tap any excess sugar into the next ramekin to avoid a huge mess to clean up. Now is also a good time to preheat your oven. Okay, now it's time to make the batter. Begin with mixing together your dry ingredients. This includes flour, bicarb soda, baking powder, and salt. Whisk this to combine and set aside. Then mix your wet ingredients. So to a large bowl, add in some softened butter, dark brown sugar, and molasses. Using a hand mixer, beat this together until just incorporated. Scrape down the sides of the bowl, then increase the speed of the mixer and beat for a good 3 or 4 minutes to adequately aerate and cream the butter and sugar. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and then crack in a room temperature egg. Go ahead and beat this into the butter and sugar until the mixture becomes light, fluffy, and moussey in texture. Then add 1/3 of the dry ingredients into the bowl with the wet ingredients. Use your hand mixer to just incorporate this. Then add half of your milk and mix to incorporate. Repeat these additions twice more. After your third addition, you can use a spatula to fully incorporate the rest of the flour just to avoid overmixing. Then divide your batter evenly across your ramekins. I find it easiest to use an ice cream scoop to do this because they have even measurements, but you can just use a spoon and a spatula if that's all you have. You want to make sure that they are no more than 2/3 of the way full, otherwise they will rise too much. And if you want to get really fussy about it, you can weigh it, but sometimes I don't think that's completely necessary. Now, put a kettle of water onto boil and line a large baking dish with a tea towel. Arrange your filled ramekins over the tea towel and pour the boiling water into the baking dish, ensuring that the water comes about halfway up the sides of the ramekins. Sticky toffee pudding is traditionally a steamed pudding, and baking it in a water bath like this replicates the texture you would get if you did steam the sponges. The tea towel is there to prevent the ramekins from sliding around. Very carefully transfer the baking dish to the oven and bake the puddings until they're puffed and a skewer inserted into the middle comes out clean. This will take about 30 to 40 minutes. It can depend on your oven for how long it takes, so make sure to keep a keen eye on them. While your puddings are baking, it's time to make the toffee sauce. This recipe makes a lot of sauce, so you may have some left over. It is fantastic drizzled over ice cream, so that's not a problem in my book to have some extra. To a large saucepan, add in some cream along with some more butter, dark brown sugar, molasses, and salt. And try to avoid spilling your salt everywhere like I did. Luckily, I could see on the scale that just enough was added after this mishap, so I don't need to start over. Set the pan over medium heat and stirring constantly with a heat-proof spatula, bring the mixture to a boil. Then allow your toffee sauce to boil for a few minutes before removing from the heat. Then swirl in a bit more cream into the sauce and stir until it's evenly distributed. You may notice that the sauce is very similar to the filling for my pecan bars. Once you've taken your puddings out of the oven, allow them to cool for about 10 minutes, removed from the water bath, before trying to unmold them. To do this, run a paring knife around the edges and set a plate on top of the ramekin. Flip it over and give it a sturdy shake to free the sponge from the ramekin. Top the pudding with an ample amount of toffee sauce. Then, in my opinion, no sticky toffee pudding, whether it has dates or not, is complete without adding a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top. And all that's left to do now is serve and enjoy. If you liked this recipe, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my next videos. Enjoy!